Well, our guest has been here before, and it's both a pleasure and a privilege when she is here and I get to talk to her. Eileen Bradshaw with the Community Food Bank of Northeast Oklahoma. Good to see you, kid.
Good to see you.
How are things shaping right now with this government shutdown? Are you guys being effective? Not effective, but being affected?
We are trying to meet the needs that this is presenting, but you know, it's a really uncertain time.
Yeah.
I can sit here and say it's uncertain for the food bank, but I really feel for all the people who have no idea when this is going to end and who it's affecting their paychecks and then possibly federal benefits down the line.
So you're seeing people come in who are feeling the effects?
We are. We're getting calls from furloughed federal workers. We started getting calls about 2 weeks ago. We were serving them and continue to serve them actually from the front desk of the food bank. Obviously our partner programs are serving them as well. And then we did have a pop-up market for those folks from 3 to 7, trying to be able to hit folks on both shifts this week.
I was amazed when I saw a report about 3 days ago, I think, when some families of Coast Guard people were applying for help at food banks in their area. I don't think people realize the impact it's having in our nation. What do you see most? Do you see people coming in saying we don't have any place to turn, or what are their stories?
This is very interesting because most of these people, well, they're employed, and most of them have never had to turn to the Charitable Assistance Network. Several have said, I've been a donor to the food bank, and out of curiosity I looked, and they actually have. So they've really had their world flipped upside down from being a donor to a recipient. And their stories vary widely. We had a widow come in, said, you know, it's cold, I've got to pay my electric bill, my car tags are due, I have no idea when I can go back to work.
And that's here in Oklahoma.
That's right here. Had someone else come in and say, you know, I'm still working every day, I'm just not getting paid. I can't pick up anything on the gig economy, I can't drive for Uber or deliver for Grubhub because I'm working, but I have no income coming in.
It's hard to imagine that two sides can't come together recognizing the impact it's having on our nation. I'm not trying to draw you into a political...
Well, these are big issues,
Exactly.
and they're complicated issues, and I'm not minimizing those,
No.
but I'm afraid that the folks who are in the power to reopen the government are not able to really conceptualize the harm that this shutdown is doing to ordinary Americans who are doing everything we ask of them.
This has got to be placing an extra burden on the food bank. What do you need?
You know, right now, the numbers of federal workers in our service area, we're not serving everyone, we're just serving those who are right now raising their hands. This isn't straining us beyond our midst. One of the things I'm most concerned about is what's going to happen next. So we clearly don't know how long this is going to go on, and there's some forward looks at how long certain federal feeding programs will go. SNAP is funded for February, but all of the funds are being released on January 28th. Without overcomplicating things, I can tell you that folks who won't get that next SNAP reload until March 10th are going to have a long gap, and it's going to be very difficult for those families.
So that means you've got to take care of established needs plus the new ones.
We're kind of looking at a SNAP gap for sure. Yeah. Even if the government reopened it tomorrow, we know that's going to happen. One of the things that we learned from the federal workers that came through the other evening was that even when their paychecks get reestablished, because it'll be allocated in a lump sum, that their taxation rate may be affected. So previously, one of the furloughed workers said that this had happened and they lost a huge portion of what they were expecting to taxes because of the lump sum aspect. So even though they have worked and expected to be paid dollar for dollar what they had earned, that's not how it turned out. So even after the shutdown ends, there's going to be some residual effects. It's going to take some of these furloughed workers months to really dig out. And then depending on what happens and how long it goes, folks who receive any kind of federal feeding assistance are really impacted.
Again, I'm not trying to draw you into a political discussion here, but I saw something that the Commerce Secretary unleashed today, and I thought that's a pretty cold, cruel way to look at people who are hurting. These folk coming to you who are new, the federal workers who are new, have really, they have no reason to be embarrassed, and I'll bet they are. I'll bet they're.
We've had
right.
people crying in our lobby. We had some news reporters there the other evening, and several people said, please, I don't want to show my face. I'm so embarrassed. And I agree with you. This is absolutely out of their control. And I think it's a wonderful thing. If you are watching this and you have 6 months' salary in the bank, that's awesome.
God bless you.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's not the reality for most Americans, and it certainly isn't a very attainable reality for folks who might be working as a healthcare aide in a federal facility or a TSA agent. And so we need to really suspend the kind of judgment that you referenced earlier. These are people that are working and doing what we ask them to do. Most Americans don't have 6 months of savings in the bank, and the fact that these folks don't isn't anything they should be embarrassed about. And we need to be rallying around them because they're still doing the jobs that are keeping us safe.
Just not getting paid for it.
Just not getting
paid. Hey, listen,
paid.
I want to talk to you about, that's very important, but I want to step into another area because you mentioned it once before, the different ways you're not only bringing in food, but you're raising your own.
Yes, sir.
Could we talk about that just a bit?
We can. We always have supported community gardens in the area, and we've had gardeners that will plant an extra row and bring it into the food bank. We have a small garden on our property, and the Oklahoma weather can be challenging for gardeners. So we raise some things in our outdoor garden. We have a small peach orchard, 4 trees. But what we have going that I think you're referencing are our boxcar farms. We have 2 hydroponic boxcar farms, and we just harvested this week. They brought in, they're beautiful leafy greens. They're so fresh. They don't taste like things that we can even access at the market. And the great thing about it is they can be harvested, go out in a free family farmers market or mobile pantry, and end up on somebody's table the same day they're harvested, which is a really rare opportunity for someone in poverty to get something that fresh.
Explain to the folks who might not be familiar, how does it work? How does the boxcar
So there's
come
the
together?
grow lights. It looks like every pot farm that you'd see on a 2020 episodes. All these pink grow lights and all these, and they grow in small trays, so they don't take up much space. They mature very quickly. We can grow a new crop of leafy greens every 30 days. We can take a second cutting after only 10 days.
Really?
And because we're a nonprofit, sometimes we take a third cutting, which isn't quite as robust, but it's amazing what we can do in a short period of time. So it's a very, especially, in the 9 months that it's not very easy to grow spinach and mesclun and those kind of things, we can be providing that to people 12 months a year.
Gosh, that's great.
It is very amazing to
You guys
see.
are so well organized over there. I'm going to get a chance soon to see firsthand.
We're excited you're coming.
Oh, yeah, wow. Anyway, I'm going to come through and really take a look at it because I'm anxious to see up close and personal what all you guys have going.
We're excited that you're coming. We encourage anybody who has any interest. There's always somebody on hand that can give a tour. You can call ahead, but you can also just stop in and say, I want to see the grow-tainers, or can you show me the warehouse?
I failed to bring it in, but I have a slip at home. Folk who contribute to the food bank in terms of food as opposed to money. Now, food, we're not saying no, but money, do you have that formula on the top of your head?
If we accept food donations gratefully, and
Sure.
if that's how you're comfortable, that's fine. But if you really want to do the most impactful gift, cash is king, because we can provide the equivalent of 4 meals for every $1 that a person donates.
Do it again, 4
meals for every $1 that a person might donate. And that's not our formula. That's calculated by Feeding America. And they tell us what that number is. So, sometimes I think of a gift that I am able to afford. I'm not sure of how much impact it has.
Sure.
But I can tell you that if you can afford to give a $5 bill, that's 20 meals. And if you're one of the recipients of those 20 meals, it's very impactful. So you don't have to be a millionaire to have a big impact on the hungry.
You bet. And it goes, $5, $10, $15 will go a long way.
It goes a long way.
Gosh. Eileen, we're running out of time, but I want you to keep something in mind.
Okay.
The times they are a-changing, and it's going to get tighter, I suspect. And if it does, and you guys run into trouble, call us. We'll open our doors to you so you can come in and talk and explain to the folks what you need, all right?
Thank you so much.
You're good people.
You are too.
Appreciate what you're doing. That's all the time we have for this segment of Perspectives. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.